cool. Let's get into it then. So you may notice this is, kind of lower key. It's not like a webinar exactly. It's more like kind of office hours. We're doing office hours about how you can set up Mailchimp and KW Command as a team lead, as a Rainmaker. So yeah, if you have any questions as we're going, feel free to just throw them out there. Stop me. You can throw them in the chat if you're somewhere where you can't talk. That's totally fine. But yeah, we want to make sure you have all the answers while we're getting started here. So cool. So the first thing we're going to do is talk a little bit about Mailchimp and why people are setting up KW Command and Mailchimp. So I'm actually going to go to the marketplace here. I'm going to go in here. I'm going to find Mailchimp. So that's the first step also if you're trying to get this set up, is to go into the KW marketplace and search for Mailchimp. If you've never been to the KW marketplace, it's really easy to find. Just log into Command and there's a little shop icon right there up by your notifications. You can click on that and it takes you out to the marketplace. Another thing to note is that in the marketplace, you're logged in automatically to your individual agent account. You'll want to, if you're a team, if you're a Rainmaker and you're setting this up for your Rainmaker account, you'll want to hit this drop down and choose the correct account for your Rainmaker. If you try and purchase a Rainmaker Sync using an individual agent account, you're just going to get an error message and it won't let you purchase it. So if you're getting that error message, it's probably just because you need to sign into your Rainmaker account in order to buy a Rainmaker Sync. There are individual agent syncs. So you see, I just searched for Mailchimp and here is the individual agent one. It just looks normal, Mailchimp, KW Command Sync. And that's fine. You can set that up. Even if you're a Rainmaker, you can set this up. It's just won't give you access to all the contacts and leads in KW Command for your entire team. It's only going to give you access and let you sync over contacts and leads that are owned by you in KW Command. So if you want to do it for your entire team, you're going to need this one. It has Rainmaker Teams written under it. Let's click on that. And so you can see, this is what it looks like. This is what it looks like to purchase it. And the reason people buy this is KW Command does a lot of great things and they're building out more. One thing a lot of agents and brokers like to supplement with KW Command is an email newsletter app. So something like Mailchimp or Constant Contact. And the reason people will supplement it with that additional app is there's two reasons. One, ease of use. Mailchimp and Constant Contact are built around being able to send beautiful emails out to a large group quickly and easily. They have whole communities that'll help you work with you. A lot of them are volunteers. They're just enthusiasts for email marketing, and they'll work with you to get your newsletter in like tip-top shape. Join Facebook groups, tons of stuff going on there. That's one reason. The second reason is Constant Contact and Mailchimp. They make their bread and butter off sending emails. So it's very, very important to them that the emails they send end up in the inbox and not in the spam folder. If they're ending up in the spam folder, these companies are going to go away pretty quick. So they keep their email services, the servers that send the email for their services and for their customers, very clean, very whitelisted, so that if you send stuff through Mailchimp, you send stuff through Constant Contact, there's a 92% chance it's going to end up in the inbox. If you send it without Constant Contact or Mailchimp, just send it on average from your Outlook or Gmail, there's like a 60% chance it ends up in the inbox. There's a 40% chance you're going to spam. So it's a pretty big bump to use one of these apps versus just sending something from your normal email. So just something to think about. If you're a Rainmaker team, you would just hit, there would be a big button here that says buy app, purchase app, something like that. If you're an individual agent, there's a link here to go to the individual agent sync. Crystalline has a great question. What if we have Mailchimp free version? Will it allow us to send our newsletter to all contact list? Yes. There's a couple caveats with the free version. One is you can only have 500 contacts, I believe, before they ask you to pay. So it's going to be a pretty tight list. Another is that you don't have access to many of the templates So you can only send like pretty simple ones, which is totally fine. But yeah, you will be able to sync contacts out to MailChimp that way. Cool. Hopefully that makes sense. Yeah, so you'll purchase the sync. Give me 1 sec. All right. So once you purchase the sync in the KW Marketplace, it's going to live in the My Apps area. So if you click on My Apps in the Marketplace, you'll see all the apps you've purchased through the Marketplace, including all the integrations, all the syncs you purchased. So you can see here's ours. We purchased a lot for testing. And here is MailChimp KW. So I'm going to click on that, and that's going to allow me to set up this sync in API Nation. So that's the step. Go to the Marketplace, sign in as your Rainmaker account, go to the sync, purchase it, and then click on My Apps to set it up. Once you click on set that tile, it's going to take you out to API Nation. If you don't have an API Nation account with that KW email, it's going to create one for you. So this would be your account at kw.com. If you do have one with that KW email account already, it'll log you into it. It's going to connect KW command to your API Nation account. So it's all connected, it's ready to go. And now it's showing you, all right, you have purchased the sync for these two apps. There's a few different automations you can set up. The first one is to get contacts from KW command into MailChimp. By far, this is the most popular way to set this up. Getting your contacts from KW command as they're coming in, as leads are coming into KW command, as you're adding people to KW command to follow up. Having those also automatically added to MailChimp, like it's, you know, like carbon paper, or like somebody's going in every night and copying and pasting it for you. That's what most people are setting up. There's also automations if you are having people sign up for your MailChimp newsletter, to have those people synced back into KW command. So MailChimp has sign up forms. They have pop-up forms that you can put on Facebook, that you can put on your website, so that people can subscribe to your newsletter. So sometimes agents have kind of focused on those versus other ways to get people to sign up. So if you have a MailChimp pop-up somewhere, or a page or a landing page through MailChimp, and you're collecting email addresses, you can use this sync to get those people into KW command automatically. The last one is if you are sending a campaign pretty repeatedly, you can set up a sync so that the activity from that campaign gets posted as a note to a contact. This is pretty intricate, so I'm not going to cover it in this one, but I will put a YouTube video in here that explains exactly what this does. Basically, if you are sending, you know, like a greeting campaign, like a welcome campaign, then you can set up that campaign, connect it to KW command, and then tell it when somebody opens an email from that campaign, make a note in KW command. Or when somebody clicks on a link in that campaign, make a note in KW command. You have to connect each campaign from MailChimp to KW command that you want to track. So it's really helpful if you're sending the same campaign over and over. Like you have like a journey, like a welcome journey in MailChimp, but it's not very helpful if you're sending, you know, like a new newsletter blast once a week, because you'd have to go in here, connect the blast, and then send it out. So just something to keep in mind. And I believe this YouTube video should answer how to do that. So cool. I put that in the chat if you want to save it for later and check it out. All right. So let's set up that very, very popular sync. Let's go with this one. This is the big one, KW command to MailChimp. So I'm going to hit continue to set up, and it's going to have me connect MailChimp. So first it's going to ask me which KW command account you want. Looks like I've connected to my individual agent account and my team account. Make sure you select your team and hit select. And now we're going to connect our MailChimp account. So you'll just hit the connect button, and it's going to ask you for a name for the connection. You can just name this after yourself, your team, your office. This is just in case you have multiple MailChimp accounts. Maybe you're, you know, like a marketing team who manages multiple real estate agents, and each of them have a MailChimp. You can manage them all through the same API Nation account with just different names. But for most people, for most agents, they just have the one. So you can just name it whatever. Then we need an API key. So you can see it asks for API key. So I'm going to go to MailChimp, go up here to the top right, click on that, and click on Profile, and then click on Extras. There it is, drop down, and then there's API keys. So if you forget about that, you're like, wow, that was a lot of clicking. It's all right here. Click your account icon, go to account, go to extras, API keys. So just in case you need it, then it's going to look like this. Here's all your API keys. I'm going to go ahead and create one, and I'm going to call it KW command. Then I'm going to copy that key, go back to API Nation, and paste it in. So that's it. KW command is now connected. MailChimp is now connected. Now I can launch as many of the automations and integrations between these two apps without having to reconnect them every time. They're just connected to the app or connected to API Nation and easy to find and use. So now it's created the sync, and you can see there's just a couple options here. First option is, do I want to sync all the contacts on first run? That's just basically asking, if you check this box, it's going to take all the existing people from KW command and push them into MailChimp when we start this. It's a process. It sends about 50 to 100 every few minutes. So it's not going to just you're not going to hit the button and then go to MailChimp and then see 50,000 people in there. It'll take, a while for them to get in there, but it's going to start with your earliest contacts to move forward. If you uncheck the box, it's only going to start sending over contacts from now on. So if you add a contact to KW command today, it'll send that. If you added a KW command to last week, if you added a contact to KW command last week, it's not going to worry about that until you update it. So up to you. For people who are trying to keep their MailChimp pretty tight, I would leave this box unchecked and then send people over almost manually into MailChimp. But if you are just trying to build out a list in MailChimp, you're going to use it. I want to have all the heads in there so I can start emailing. Check the box, get them all in there. Pretty easy. In MailChimp, it's going to ask you, all right, which audience do you want to send it to? And it's just going to show you. This is a free MailChimp account, so I only have the one audience, real estate clients. But you can choose different audiences if you want. And then finally, two big pieces here, the filter and mapping. Let's go over the filter first. Filter is super powerful, and it allows you to filter who's coming over from KW command based on any of these factors. So what some agents and brokers will do is they will set up a filter for tags contains newsletter. And this way, if I'm in KW command and I want to add somebody to my newsletter, I can just tag them with newsletter. That way I can control exactly who's going over. So if I have like 15,000 contacts in KW command, but I only want to send my VIPs to a newsletter, or I only want to send my past clients to a newsletter, or hot clients, or whatever, I'll just find all those people, tag them with newsletter. It builds my newsletter automatically. So you can do it with tags. You can also do it with assignee email or username. So that's kind of like the agent who's assigned. So I could say, let's just build out an audience, a MailChimp audience for users who are assigned to the agent named Gabe. So if the email, this is my email address. So if the assignee email contains that, send them over. So you could do that. So those are the big things. And you can go in advanced mode and do multiple rules. Assignee email is this, or it's this. You can add and rules. Assignee email is this, or this, and also they live in the United States. So a lot of different stuff you could do. And close that out. I'm going to clear it all out for now. Last thing I want to touch on this. The email thing is kind of cool because what assignee email, what people will do is if they're building this for their agents, let's say I have like 6, 7 agents, I would build one workflow, assign it to the audience for Gabe, for me, and then I would come up here to clone, and I would hit clone, and it's going to build the exact same workflow. And this time I would just assign it to the audience for, let's say Jerry's clients. And then I would change the filter to assignee email contains Jerry at API Nation. This way I can build multiple leads, this way I can be multiple audiences. I'll just have a workflow for each audience and an audience for each agent. So just something to consider if you're trying to build, different audiences. The last thing we're going to touch on is the mapping. We do most of this for you. You can see emails going here, first name's going here, last name's going here. A really nice thing about this is all stuff from KW coming over into Mailchimp, is you can create custom fields in Mailchimp for whatever you want, and then sync over the stuff from command. So for example, I can go into Mailchimp. I can go over here to audience dashboard, go to manage audience and settings. So basically you've just gone into the audience area and you've gone into settings for that audience. And then you can just come down here to audience fields. And this is where you can create custom fields for your audience. So one of the things that's kind of cool in command is the neighborhood field, which helps me kind of drill down on exactly who these people are. So I can say create a field. It created a new one. Oop. There it is at the bottom. So I'm going to create one called neighborhood. Neighborhood. There we go. It's a text field. And I want to make sure it's visible. I don't want to make it required. I don't think it's important that they absolutely have a neighborhood to get synced in here. But this is kind of nice. And then I could actually use it in future mail merges. So I can send them an email that says, hey, activities happening in your, and then have neighborhood sync in there with their neighborhood name, which is kind of cool. So this looks good. I'm going to save this. And once I create that custom field, I can go back to API Nation. I'm going to refresh this page. And then you're going to see neighborhood is now a field available to send information to. So if I come down here to mapping, there it is, neighborhood. So I can sync in neighborhood name. There we go. Bam. So you can do that. You can make custom fields to line up with all the stuff you want from KW command. And then the last thing I want to touch on here is the tags. So if you're tagging people in KW, Mailchimp also has tags, but because the way they built their API, we can't connect them one-to-one. So we can't send Mailchimp contacts or KW command contacts over to Mailchimp with the tag and have them tagged with the same thing in Mailchimp. But what you can do is you can send over the KW tags into a field in Mailchimp. So I'm going to do that. I've created a custom field here called KW tags, and I'm going to send over the tags. Oops, tags. Bam, there we go. And then once the tags are in Mailchimp, now I can do stuff with them. So I can do a few different things. I can build a segment that just looks at that tags field and segments people based on what is or isn't in the tags field. I can create a journey so that when a client comes over, a customer comes over, a user comes over to Mailchimp, the journey goes through, and a journey has a lot of if-then rules. You can say if the client has a tag that says VIP, then apply a tag in Mailchimp that says VIP. So there's a lot of different things you can do once you have the information in Mailchimp. The only problem is you can't just like one-to-one connect tags. You have to just bring it over as a field. So that is about it. That's how you kind of set it up. If I were a Rainmaker, I would consider setting up, a sync for each agent, creating their own list, and then maybe having a master sync, which sends everybody over into the same list. That might not be a bad idea. Or I would also, you could also just send them all over to the same audience with no filter, and then just create a field in here for, assigned agent, and then put in that, let's say this one's called assigned agent, and then just put in that assigned email. There we go. And then you can have it build out segments based on what's in this field, which would probably be neater. Honestly, that's probably the easiest way to do it. Have one audience and then have Mailchimp build out segments based on an assignee email. So cool. Well, that is about it, guys. Any questions before we hop off?